Welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Tuesday night. We are discussing the Green Bay Packers win over the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. And then we are going to be previewing their upcoming matchup on Monday Night Football with the New Orleans Saints. So here we go.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
All right, so here we are. Welcome back. We're going to discuss the win over the Seahawks. We have a lot to recap with that, and we have everybody back in-house, which is great. Simon and Bryant are back. Bryant was on a work holiday party last week, and Simon's been doing a lot for the military, which we appreciate. And we're going to get into it, and Jake has a couple things that he wants to go through before we jump in.
Yeah, so we were kind of having a discussion before the show because I heard this stat today from Rich Eisen. I like to listen to his show during the day. He's a very knowledgeable guy, has some great guests on there. And when we were discussing this after I gave this stat, Tyler brought up a really interesting point, and I thought maybe we can get Brian's thoughts on this since he wasn't in there. It was myself, Simon, and Tyler. So the Packers win against the Seahawks was their 10th win of the year. It marked the 33rd time that they had a 10-win season, which broke a tie with Dallas for the most in NFL history. So it got me thinking that we're the best, dude. Like, we are the best NFL franchise. We have the most wins, the most points, the most championships. We have the most double-digit win seasons. I mean, we are the best. And Tyler started bringing up, is there a discussion for them to be the best franchise in all of sports? And I thought that was interesting. And we started kind of naming off teams. We named the Yankees, the Lakers, Celtics, hockey. We kind of nailed it down to the Red Wings. So, Brian,
and the Habs.
Is there an argument for
the Habs?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, obviously you have to think about the Yankees and stuff, but when you start talking baseball, there's such a huge gap of what those big market teams can pay for their team. Green Bay can't go and just pay $300 million more for a team, so you got to take that into account, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm biased. I love the Packers, my favorite team. Even I love in other sports, but football is king. So for me, yeah, there's definitely you can start talking about the recency bias where people be like, no way, it's not the Packers. They don't have more Super Bowls. A lot of their championships came when there wasn't many teams in the league. Blah blah blah. You're gonna get that kind of conversation. So recently, you can start saying, New England has to be up there, right? When you start talking about those kind of franchises. But for me, for baseball compared to football, it's such a big difference because we can't, like, I'm a Minnesota Twins fan, right? It's hard to compete with the Yankees because the Yankees just go throw $700 million at somebody. That's never going to happen. And you guys know what I mean by being a Brewers fan, right?
Yep.
And then when you go to basketball, I do think, there's something to be said about the Lakers and the Celtics. Now, would you say there's a little bit of, stacking of teams? The last couple championships they won? Probably, sure. But the NBA does kind of have a way of resisting that a little bit. But you have the big threes in a lot of those teams. But, Shaq and Kobe brought them several championships. I wouldn't say they're really a big three. They were just two really good players together. So, you'd have to put them right there with the Lakers, I think, in my opinion, the Celtics. But when you start talking Yankees, I don't value a championship as much in baseball because I just feel like you see a lot of times the Dodgers or the Yankees or someone like that winning. And that's why we all get so excited when you see a team like Minnesota win the World Series in 89 and 91, or you see, well, you guys might not get excited, but it's still like a difference. Or like, when you start to see Kansas City win a World Series, or Detroit, or these other teams that are in, Detroit is a big enough market, but they've struggled for so long. But, the Florida Marlins, teams like that, that it's basically David versus Goliath because they're, what was it last year? The Yankees had one player on their roster that his pay was higher than the entire Florida Marlins roster. So, I mean, you don't see that in other sports. So now talking hockey, admittedly, I'm a hockey fan. I'm a Wild fan, but I haven't really gone back in the past. I'm more of a college kind of guy. But you have those great Canadian teams, or the Bruins teams, or Penguins had their long stretch, or you know. So, but I feel like for hockey, there's not been one team that's been overly dominant. It's been pretty well spread out. So I would say the Packers would be up there. In my opinion, the Packers would be right there with the Celtics and Lakers.
Yeah, that's definitely within the realm of teams that would be in the discussion. So,
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the Seahawks game. Simon, how did you feel about the defensive scheme overall?
I thought this is kind of just a lot of what we've seen from Hathley this year. Is they only blitzed 4 times this game, which is kind of crazy considering how many sacks they racked up this week as we get into the pass rush later. But when he did, it was pretty effective in those 4 plays. Interception, incomplete, 5-yard pass to JSN, and Gino took a shot on that play, and then the other one was a pop pass for 2 yards to JSN. So all in all, like, I'll take that every day. And then just like the normal, like, Hafley putting players in a position to end up putting pressure on Geno Smith, he would continually line up 5 to 6 guys on the line of scrimmage and only send 4 of them. Or vice versa, he'd line up 4 guys and then he'd end up dropping like a D lineman. Like I saw Colby Wooden, playing coverage in the middle of the field on one play. So you couldn't really tell who were going to be the rushers. And obviously, I think we all saw that from Edger and Cooper, who we're probably going to talk about a lot today, and what he's shown. But the Packers' defense recorded their most sacks and the highest sack rate on non-blitzes this week. I know the Seahawks aren't like well known this year for their offensive line, but like this is what people really want to see this year, or have wanted to see over this year. And you see a lot of people complain about the pass rush. Well, here it was, and it wasn't just the pass rush. And I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago when I was here, or maybe it was just in the back room with you guys. Is like part of the reason, especially versus Detroit, that we couldn't get a lot of pass rush on Jared Goff is he was getting the ball out of his hands really quickly, and those short passes were really limiting what our pass rush could do. Like his time to throw was like 2.3 seconds, which is really fast. Like that's one, if you average out the players, I said it was like 29th or 30th in the league for quarterbacks. If you took that game and averaged out the whole season. So it's just hard to get a pass rush going. But this game, I thought and when we talk about the secondary, I'll get to the secondary as well. As I thought I was watching, especially the secondary on those plays, like none of those guys were really open either. So like it was kind of everyone doing their job sort of thing. And I'm not going to dip too far into some of the other topics, but I thought Hafley called a hell of a game.
Especially when you consider the fact that they're still playing without Jair Alexander and they lost Quay pretty early in the game.
And I think people, like, I didn't realize this. I went and looked today, and people that are kind of being hard on the defense a little bit. Did you guys know we're top 10 in yards given up, top 10 in sacks produced, top 10 in interceptions, top 10 against the run, and top 10 or 8 in points allowed. So we are a top 10 defense. Yep.
And I just think it's like one time a game where like the defense will allow one long drive and people are like, oh my God, here we go again. And it's like,
defense is bad.
Yeah. It's like, look at the holistic view of the season and what this defense has been able to accomplish. They've been pretty damn good.
Yeah. A little PTSD maybe from previous years.
Maybe.
I'll give you guys a pass a little bit this year. If this continues and we move into next year and the defense is still playing like this, then we kind of have to, maybe this is the new norm.
Then it's time to give Hafley some flowers.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right, Jake, how'd you feel about the pass rush?
Beautiful. It was beautiful. I'm going to get into some more stuff when we talk third downs because they were clutch. The pass rush was really clutch. But as Simon was beautifully laying out, 7 sacks by the Packers this week by 6 different players. Cooper had one, just absolutely just. I'm not even going to steal Bryant's thunder, but you better talk about just him for about 5 minutes, man, because he was tremendous. Sight for sore eyes, I'll definitely say, especially pass coverage over the middle. His 4th of the year. Gary He's first on the team with 7. He got one. Enigbari had 2. He's up to 5. He's actually second on the team, second most sacks on the team. Brenton Cox Jr. got one. He has 3 now. Devontae Wyatt got one. He has 4 now. And Carl Brooks joined the party. That guy plays hard. I'm just going to say that. His sack was actually hilarious to watch. I was just laughing at that point. But getting into quarterback hits, we had 5 total. Eric Wilson had 2. Van Ness, Cooper, and Clark added 1. Kenny Clark's been really, really amping it up over the last couple of weeks. I don't want to step on too many toes. I know Tyler covers D-line, but Kenny Clark has been – oh, man, it's been so nice to see 97 in the middle causing havoc.
Oh, yeah.
And Hurries, dude, when I went to Hurries and I saw the number 22, I was like, you got to be shitting me. You got to be shitting me. Somebody typed this in wrong. They just hit the 2 button too many times. Like, oh, my goodness. 10 different players. Carl Brooks, Wyatt, Clark, Cox, Mosby, Van Ness, Cooper, Enigbari, Nixon, and Gary. Did I forget anybody on the defense? Holy shit, dude. That's amazing. 22 hurries by the pass rush. They did their job, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit later.
I'll just say real quick, Carl Brooks actually forced Gino, I believe, up in the pocket when the other quarterback up in the –
No, it was Geno Smith. That was earlier on in the game.
Gary sack as well. So, yeah, he just plays hard.
Yeah, the announcers are starting to kind of catch on, too. Like, we've broken down a bunch of plays where a guy like Quay Walker will blitz just straight ahead, not even at the quarterback, just to crack offensive linemen to make it so that defensive linemen can loop around and get sacks. We've talked about that in a lot of play breakdowns. And, Jake, to your point on Kenny Clark playing really well lately, I think Devontae Wyatt being healthy has something to do with that. I'm not going to say, like, Kenny Clark is only good when he has somebody beside him, but having 2 good defensive linemen on the interior makes a difference. So I think Devontae Wyatt's health has something to do with that as well. Cody and Matthew, welcome. Looking at the defensive line as a group, the last couple of weeks I've really been looking for more non-blitz pressures. And that's something that the Packers were able to do on 15 dropbacks with non-blitzes. They were still able to generate 6 plays under pressure. That's still 40%. That's still way more often than you want your quarterback under pressure. Sam Howell, when he came in, they had 10 pressures on 17 dropbacks. So very high amount of pressure. Also, 2 of the sacks on Geno Smith and 4 of the sacks on Sam Howell. So 6 out of the 7 sacks came on non-blitz plays. So 6 of the 7 on non-blitzes. 34 pressures. 34 pressures that's wild. That's an insane number. Like, you could cut that in half and I would be satisfied against a good offensive line.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Seahawks are not a good offensive line, but 34 is wild. 28 of them came from the defensive line. So 28 pressures and 6 out of the 7 sacks came from the defensive line. So they were on it. They stepped up in a big way, and a lot of credit needs to go their way for the defensive line. Very, very pleased with how that group played as a unit. So
I thought it was pretty funny when the announcers were like on Wyatt's sack. They're like, yeah, when he goes in unblocked, I'm like, no, dude, he completely
that was a nasty move.
They go back to the replay and they're like, oh, that's a good spin move. It just completely goes around him. Yeah.
Another group that I think played a lot better than it has in recent weeks, linebackers.
Yeah. I think they had at least one of them had a pretty good game.
One for sure.
So Edge Cooper is already the best linebacker on the team, and it's, in my opinion, it's not particularly close. Just everything he does it just seems like a step ahead. And the crazy part is he's missed plenty of games, he missed spring training. He missed 3 games just now, and he stepped right on the field, and he just looks like the best linebacker out there easily. So in the 34 snaps that this dude played, he had 7 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups, a sack, an interception, 4 run stops. And then in coverage, he let up 2 for 6 for a whole 13 yards. Put that in perspective, the other linebackers allowed 4 for 4 for 32 yards. And then the cherry on top was he's the highest PFF graded player in the NFL this week. So he just it's crazy to watch his speed. Like there's one play where he's dropping back, and I think it was I can't remember who I was watching. They did a play breakdown. He's dropping back, he slips, and he gets up, and he still flies to the ball carrier and tackles him for only like a 1 or 2 yard gain. It's just his closing speed. I don't think other players are realizing how fast he is. So he gets there so fast, and then he's got 3 or 4 sacks. I think 3 sacks on the year. Or he meant, like I said, he's missed some games. He wasn't playing a lot of snaps early in the year. This dude has probably only played a couple hundred snaps maybe. He's not. I don't know what his season snaps are, but they're not high compared to the rest of the team. So he's just going to get better and better. Unfortunately, we've seen Quay Walker leave with an injury. It sounds like he'll be more week to week, so I'll be probably a little surprised to see him this week. But I really want to see these two on the field, not because I think Quay is particularly good in coverage or anything, but one thing I think Quay has done. Simon just looked it up. Only 323 snaps on the year, and he's got an interception, 3 sacks, 4 sacks. Like, this dude is the real deal. But so I'm really excited to see him and Quay on the field together. Not because, like I said, Quay is necessarily good in coverage, but the one thing I feel like Quay's done pretty damn good this year is rushing the passer. So with their blitzes and their exotic blitzes they can throw at, if we can get Edge Cooper and Quay on the field together with their speed, that's going to create a lot of problems. So if he needs an extra week to get healthy, luckily it doesn't sound like, hopefully it is just week to week and only be like a 1 or 2 week thing, and he can get some reps in there with Cooper before the playoffs. That would be great. McDuffie and Wilson, pretty quiet game. They didn't do a whole hell of a lot. I know I did see Hopper got I did see Hopper got a couple snaps, but I think that was more towards the end of the game. And the team as a whole, does anybody know how many tackles they missed?
3.
3. Yep. 3 missed tackles on 56 defensive snaps. They missed 3 tackles.
Yeah.
That's pretty that's a damn good stat.
That's amazing.
And one of them was, have you guys seen this video of Eric Stokes on the Charbonnet touchdown? He doesn't have his damn mouthpiece in.
And then so many of them are not.
I know, but
wide receivers don't do it either.
He doesn't have his mouthpiece in. The ball gets snapped, and then he starts trying to put the damn mouthpiece in. He's fumbling it all over. It gets hit. It goes flying across the field or something, and then he basically gets out of the way and watches this guy run for a touchdown. I'm done with Eric Stokes. Like, I'll have to find you guys the video and share it to you.
You know what sucks is, like, he actually had a pretty decent game too.
Like, why in the middle of a play are you trying to put your mouthpiece in?
Maybe he was trying to communicate. I don't know.
Looking at it, I mean, the other thing that I want to say on Quay Walker, we haven't talked about it a ton. We've talked about it a little bit, and we've had some play breakdowns of it. I think he's been pretty solid against the run this season.
Yeah.
Just not great in coverage, and he's in the wrong spot sometimes.
If he reads the play right, he's there quickly.
I think Edge Cooper is exactly what the Packers wanted in Quay Walker.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I'll take a 50% hit rate on that.
Oh yeah.
And I still think Quay can be fine, especially with someone like Coop playing with him. Mm-hmm. I think that can unlock some things for him.
If next season our 2 starting linebackers are Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
As many people are trying to label Quay Walker as a bust, I don't think he's a bust. I think he's about an average player.
He's an average starter.
Yeah. With opportunity to be good. Yeah. Like, he's been, over the last 3 weeks, pretty damn good. Probably the best 3-week stretch of his career, and now he got hurt.
He's also getting into his prime, too. He was really young when the Packers drafted him. There's still opportunity for growth for him, and I think he's getting better, too.
And like I said, I think playing next to Edge Cooper, who's probably going to take a lot of coverage snaps and stuff, that's going to help him a lot, I think.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with those two being the starters. Okay, Jake, how did they do on 3rd and 4th down?
They did really good, in my opinion. Pretty good for how things worked out. So 3rd down, we only allowed 4 for 13. That's tremendous. 3rd and short area, they went 2 for 3. Rashawn Gary got a sack on a 3rd and short situation. 3rd and medium, they went 2 for 4. The 2 that they missed, a sack by Cooper and a sack by Brenton Koch Jr. So that's 3 sacks already on 3rd down. Then you get the 3rd and long. This is where the percentage goes. Woo! 0 for 6.
Yikes.
We had an interception. Carrington Valentine, nice play by him. Amazing dance moves. Gotta say, the dance moves were almost as good as the catch, in my opinion. And a sack by Enigbare when he decided to absolutely just take over the football game by himself for an entire series. So good job by him. That is 4 sacks and an interception all on third downs. You want to talk about shutting somebody up and tell them get the hell off your field? That's the way to do it.
Like get off your own field, but the Packers kind of took that over.
No, it was our field. Did you hear that? Go Pack Go!
Yep.
Oh my god!
I'm sure Richard Sherman was fuming at home hearing that.
Did you see the video of him crying?
Oh, I saw it.
Don't
worry, I watched it more than once.
All right, Simon, out of the secondary, do.
I thought they put this was easily Carrington Valentine's best game. He actually dropped another pick too, like right beforehand. I don't think PFF credited
the video where it's like the lethal shooter, like the "I understand it now" thing. Where he drops the first one, and then it's like, "Oh, all right, I understand it now," and then he intercepts the next one.
Did they make one for Cooper too? Because he also had a drop pick.
Oh, they didn't, but that's pretty smart that they should do that.
Opportunity there.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, this was Carrington Valentine's best game. He had a pick in the red zone too, which he came off his guy, and Gino floated that ball really badly too. Like that was not the smartest pass to make. Yeah, I forget who was pressuring. I meant to look that up. But he allowed Carrington Valentine allowed 3 for 4 for 32 yards, and he had a pass breakup too. I thought Stokes actually played pretty well outside, I guess, the mouthpiece thing. I didn't see it. He allowed 2 for 5 for 10 yards. McKinney 2 for 2 for 11. Nixon, I thought he played okay as well. The penalty was not great.
2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them.
First one was really bad. The second one was
The second one I thought wasn't as bad. So, but I could see why they threw.
When you put it next to the first one, it makes it look a lot more legit.
Yeah, but he had 4 for 4 for only 26. But I thought the secondary in general just did a good job of keeping the ball in front of them. They didn't really allow any long passes or a ton of yards after the catch. I think total they had like 53 yards after the catch or something, which isn't terrible.
54. You were close.
And okay. And there was no missed tackles from the secondary either, which is
that's good. Love that. Jake, how'd the defense do in the red zone?
So this is usually the part of the show where you guys all fall asleep and ignore me for about 3 minutes because I usually talk really long. But they only had 1 trip there. So Packers forced them 0 for 1. A defensive holding on Nixon, which I thought was kind of soft, got tacked on after Gino ran for 5 yards on a 3rd and 3. So they went from the 23 to the 13. Gino threw it to JSN for 1 yard. 2nd and 9 at the 12. Gino to JSN. Ball deflected by Valentine. This is the mentioned dropped interception that he did not grab. And then 3rd and 9 at the 12. Gino tries to force a pass in between 4 players wearing white helmets, which that was like a tough throw in the first place, throwing it to the back corner. And then you're just going to add a bunch of white helmets over there, which were ours, by the way. Great interception. That was a great hands catch. I want to point that out. That was a really nice acrobatic catch. That was their first attempt. Their only attempt was on their 3rd drive. After that, nothing. Quiet as a mouse. Love that.
Yeah, love that. Brian, how did special teams do?
Yeah, I thought it was a fine game. Obviously, Whelan probably wishes he had the 1 punt back, but then he punted another one down to the 3-yard line. So, that was kind of nice.
Make up.
It looks like Jake must have bored Simon so much that he left.
Either that or Russia's on their way in.
Oh, yeah.
50-50 chance for either of those.
yeah, right.
Either Jake bored him or Russia's invading. That's one of the two.
So, anyways. So, yeah, he had the 1 bad pump, but he made it up with the other one down to the 3-yard line. Jaden Reed did muff that one. Luckily, we didn't lose it. And then, McManus made all his kicks, but the longest one he had to kick all night was 39. So, but that's fine. I was totally fine with them taking the points to go up 3 scores every time they had the opportunity. To me, that's just the right move. Make them score 3 times to beat you. So, good job. It was a fine. This has been such an improved special teams unit since McManus came here. So, kudos to them.
So on your point on the taking the points, going into the before halftime situation, I understood being somewhat conservative to the point of not wanting to be overly aggressive to a point that gets you to a situation where you're giving the Seahawks the ball back with a chance to get themselves 3 points. But I think the Packers were potentially so focused, LaFleur was so focused on keeping the Seahawks from scoring 3 points that they hampered themselves the opportunity of scoring 7. And Matt LaFleur said it after the game that he just mismanaged the clock. But there's plenty of scenarios where the Packers still only get 3 points out of that drive anyways. Like, yes, it would have been nice to have even 9 seconds on the clock and be able to take one shot at the end zone after that pass interference. But again, if they're taking those timeouts, there's no guarantee that they're getting that pass interference. There's no guarantee that they're taking a deep shot, that they're not just trying to get to like the 15-yard line or the 20-yard line to get a field goal there. So still got points, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. Obviously, it's a situation when you're going to be playing, say you're in the second or potentially even third round of the playoffs. That's where you're going to need 7 and not 3. But in this game, and Brian, I agree with you, going up 3 scores, especially on the road, I think is important. A place where momentum can change much more quickly, and a place that is notoriously hard to play on the road. And if you still don't think the Packers have the best fans in the league or the most traveled team in the league, hearing Go Pack Go chants in a place that literally retired a number for their fans and have that be overtaken by Go Pack Go chants, that's something that needs to be discussed.
That definitely surprised me. Like, I was like, whoa.
That shit was in the first quarter, too.
Yeah.
Dude, that's another notch in the belt for Packers being the best franchise.
Holy.
I was shocked.
Yeah. So, I know it felt conservative, but on the road, like I said, take the points, go up to 3 scores like Brian said. David said we don't have to hold the breath when the kicker comes out. Yeah, no more crossing fingers and stuff.
It's time to talk about an extension for him for sure.
Yeah. The thing that I really disagreed with Matt LaFleur on was the challenge.
Yeah.
It was pretty clear that Sam Howell's hand was going forward, and my question was, does he not have somebody up in the booth that's like, yeah, don't challenge that? And what I'll say to just give the opposite perspective of why I do understand throwing the flag is because if that does get overturned, it becomes a turnover. So, he's had other challenges where it's like a 3rd and 1 and you're challenging it to see if it's going to be 3rd and 1 or a first down to a team that's going to go for it on 4th down. Those are the ones that I think are just dumb. Like, those are just dumb challenges. This one I can understand a little bit better because, like I said, if you win the challenge, you get the football. It becomes a turnover. So that the reward is a little bit more worth the risk at that point, I guess.
I mean, he's 0 for 6 on the year or whatever. It's been rough this year for him for challenges. So.
Yeah. One that would change possession, I can understand a little bit better. But I will say, to kind of redeem himself, the Packers had the 3-and-out, a fumble, and then a 3-and-out as 3 straight series. And then people come out of the woodwork. I shouldn't even say come out of the woodwork because the person that does it knows that he's doing it because he's doing it to farm engagement. The Packers can't play a full game. And then after that, Matt LaFleur just absolutely cooks and the Packers go down and score a touchdown. The play calls that he made after those 3 drives, it's like, did you have another page in the back of the playbook where it's just like, yeah, this drive will not be stopped? Because that's what it felt like. It was like 12-yard run, 12-yard run, wide receiver, 12-yard run. Oh, and then a touchdown to the guy with the best strong hands in the league. I don't remember who was saying it. That he calls Romeo Doubs Spider-Man because of the hands catches that he makes. So crazy strong hands from Doubs on that touchdown. We're going to switch to the offense, and we'll start with Simon and the tight ends.
Oh, yeah, kind of a quiet week for the tight ends. Not anything to have any concern over. Obviously, Tucker Kraft still had 2 receptions for 34 yards, but he did a lot of the dirty work in the run run blocking game, and I thought he did really well. Ben Sims played 16 snaps, and John Fitzpatrick played 9. Neither of them logged a target or a catch. And they were okay at best.
Yeah. Brian,
Shout
how
out
did
to
you feel
Tucker
about
Kraft
Wide
on Moss and that dude.
Are we gonna get Musgrave back this week? I don't know. I haven't seen anything. He's still on.
He's designated to
He's
return.
designated
Designated
to
return. Yeah,
So they
but
have-
he has this week and next week, or
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
yes,
got a
yes,
couple more
yes.
weeks yet. I don't think
Yeah.
they're going to rush him back, to be honest. But I would hope that my thought would be, if I was a betting man, maybe try to get him the last 2 weeks just to get him some run on the field and before the
Yeah.
playoff.
Yeah,
If
even
he's
just
healthy.
bringing him back for week 18.
Yeah.
Okay. Brian, how did you feel about the wide receiver?
Yeah, I thought they had. This is a very, very good game by the wide receivers overall. Just they do their jobs on every plays, whether it's blocking, making the catch. They just continue to play unselfish, in my opinion. I know we had the one blip on the radar with Dobbs, but I still think there's more to that than what we'll ever know or know anytime soon. But Dobbs coming back from his concussion. First thing I want to say about Dobbs is I don't want to say proud of him, but I was happy to see him wearing the Guardian cap. Okay.
Yep.
That he has I'm pretty sure he has a kid or at least 1 or 2 kids, and then he has his girlfriend or wife. And to me, it's just making a smart decision for yourself. And maybe he only wears it the rest of this year, or maybe it was a 1 or 2 week thing. But for him, I feel like, I know this isn't his first concussion either, so I kudos to him for trying to protect himself. Anyone that says it looks stupid, just shut up. Like, It's not your brain, it's not your life, it's not your future. Yep. Like,
you look stupid trying to protect your brain.
Yeah, did he look stupid making an absolute disgusting catch in the end zone? I thought he looked pretty awesome. So, 2 touchdowns. The first one, he absolutely annihilates a guy or 3 guys and runs them over. Talk about angry run section. That could probably have been put up by Kyle Brandt. And then the touchdown at the end of the game, that's just sick. Like, that is, he caught it, and I didn't even celebrate. I was sitting on my couch. I didn't celebrate because I was like, there's no way that was in. And then I watched the replay, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, he caught that ball. So, and then I just love his reaction. Did you guys see the video? I think.
Yeah. He's like, I caught it.
They're talking trying to hype him up for the catch. He's like, I just caught the ball.
I thought it was funny. Somebody put the caption of Romeo Dobbs is super animated after his touchdown.
Yeah, he was having fun out there, though. He was like dancing or swimming on the field and stuff. So all I care about is he's having fun with his teammates. He doesn't owe the media or us anything. So just happy to see him doing well. And then you have Christian Watson, who made an absolutely disgusting catch on the sidelines. And then I thought, he almost made that one towards the end of the game. Luckily, he just got like a cleat to the shin or something. So he said he would be fine. But him and Dobbs both drew big pass interference penalties. And then you have Jaden Reed, who had 5 catches, but then he also added some to the running game as well. I thought he had not a big game or anything, but a solid contribution. And then Wicks only had 2 catches, but they're both for first downs. So, so he contributed as well. So overall, it's just a really, really good performance. 0 drops. You love to see that. You had the one where Jaden Reed slipped, unfortunately, and then the one where Jordan Love missed Dobbs, but overall, a really, really solid game from the wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm gonna catch up on a couple of comments really quick. David said his only issue with Matt LaFleur is that after it was clear the second half, the Seahawks sold out to stop the run up the middle. He didn't mix it up, but his play calling was good. Yeah, I mean, it's easier to say like, hey, they started stopping this, like run something different. My only time where I was like, I wish you would have switched it up was the 3rd and 1. That one felt like it was a pretty obvious run. Like if Jordan Love
got to block the guy though too.
if Jordan Love bootlegs on that, he's got Christian Watson blocking for him and a safety 10-ish yards off the line of scrimmage. So like he's picking up the first down, probably gaining about 10 yards. Afam said Gary had a nice game. Yes, he did. He also said LVN is scrub. I strongly disagree. LVN has been one of the better pass rushers in the NFL since the trade deadline. The stats back it up.
I think Afam's been drinking.
Yeah, Sean Ryan's not getting any jet sweeps. He is.
That would be so sick, though.
So going into the passing game distribution, we're back to Jordan Love targeting 7 players or more. I wanted to see Josh Jacobs involved more in the passing game, and he was this week from the get-go. Like the first drive, it was like Jacobs, and then Jordan Love, and then back to Jacobs, and that was a touchdown. So that was the entire first drive. David said Christian Watson is quietly becoming number 1 level guy. We were having this conversation in our group chat that he's one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL, and Romeo Doubs could be in that conversation as well. So looking at it, Haytham said Sean would have a mean stiff arm with that brace. Josh Jacobs, 4 catches on 4 targets, 42 yards, 58 yards after the catch. So Josh Jacobs is racking up crazy amounts of yards after the catch. But
we actually ran some screens.
Total,
it was a miracle.
Just means that he had 16 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So that's what that means. So people don't have to be like, oh my God, how is he doing that? Like, there's that. Reed and Watson both had 6 targets. Doubs had 5. And looking at Jordan Love spreading the ball around, he was 3 for 6 on 20-plus yard throws, had the touchdown to Doubs, 134 rating. Then he was 1 for 3 from 10 to 19. That's still the area where I think he's got the most opportunity to be either like, yes, he's top 5, or yes, he has more improving to do. That 10 to 19 range is still where I'm looking at him. From 0 to 9 yards, he was 7 for 8, had 146.4 rating, and he was 9 for 9 behind the line of scrimmage. So no complaints there. Atham said we could continue to get better and gain more swag, which is a good place to be at the end of the year. With 3 games left, I'm feeling good with where they are because they have improved some of the self-inflicted stuff, and they can still get better, which is just a great thing for the next, this year and the next 3 to 5 after that yet. Reggie's a big LVN guy. And Atham, I can bring out the stats again. I had him last week that he's been one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, period. He's top 10, top 15 in a lot of pass statistics.
He had a couple of pressures this week too. And he had a hit, I think. We smacked him one time.
2 pressures, 1 quarterback hit, and 1 quarterback hurry.
Yeah.
So I don't think scrub is a accurate adjective. Okay. Bryant, how did you feel about the offensive line?
Yeah, I thought overall solid game, but I thought the run blocking struggled kind of after the first drive / first quarter. There's a couple like that 3rd and 1, Jenkins completely whiffs Leonard Williams. There's nothing Jacobs can do there, and there's really nothing Matt LaFleur can do there. If that gets blocked, it's probably first down. I guess he'd call the bootleg, but that drives that, and then that's what turns into the fumble and the other 3 and out, and you have that stall drive when you have a missed block or something like that. But overall the pass blocking was great again. Only allowing 1 QB hit. I think like a handful of hurries, like 7 or something like that. The pass blocking has been phenomenal all year. Jordan Love's only been sacked 11 times, keep that up. And then on that Doubs touchdown towards the end of the game, they brought a blitz. And the whole line and running backs, everyone's picks it up and gives Jordan Love all that time back there to make that throw and have time to find him and throw it, in the bucket essentially. So overall, just a really, really solid game from the offensive line again. So they've probably been, for me, in my opinion, the most consistent group on the team when it comes to one specific thing, and that's pass blocking for all year.
Could see that. Monkey, we're going to get to this soon. So the Saints are going down. We're going to get to that soon. Got a couple more things to go through here yet. Simon, how did the run game do?
I thought it was okay. David's been kind of saying in chat a little bit is it was a good first half, and you talked about the first drive already, like 8 out of 9 touches on the first drive, all to Josh Jacobs, and he just runs it down their throat, which is, we love to see that. And I think that's the goal. And a lot of people, complain one way or another. If we take the ball, they hate it. If we, give them the ball, they hate it. But when Matt LaFleur has been taking the ball, this is kind of what he's been envisioning happening all year is take that early lead, waste a bunch of time, get really physical with them. This might be the Packers' most physical game all year, of at least the beginning of the game where they just absolutely dominate everything. And so Josh Jacobs, he had an all right game. The second half, I thought the Seahawks did a pretty good job of bottling him up, especially runs up in the middle. But he ended up with 26 rushes for 94 yards. He had 4 receptions for 42 yards and a touchdown, forced 2 missed tackles, and 80 yards came after contact, which is absolutely insane. Chris Brooks had 1 carry for 6 yards and 1 reception for 9 yards. Emmanuel Wilson had 3 carries for 9 yards, and Jaden Reed took 3 end arounds for 27 yards. It's good to see the ball get in Jaden Reed's hands again.
As far as rushing goes, over the last 3 games, Seattle is 5th in the NFL, allowing only 86.3 rushing yards a game.
Yeah, they've been good.
They were kind of boat racing some teams, but they had been solid. Their defense had been solid. Their last 3 games, they'd only allowed 15.5 points a game. They came in on a 4-game winning streak. Cody brought up the entire NFC West. That the Packers outscored them 126-55 and beat all 4 teams.
That's
insane. The only one that was particularly close were the Rams. The other ones we beat them 30 to. I can't remember the score of the game. 34-17 was San Francisco. 30-13 was Arizona.
30 was it 30-13? I thought it was 38 to 10 or something.
Oh, maybe.
No, that was the 49ers game.
49ers was 38-10.
Yeah.
Monkey loves read jet sweeps.
I love them when they work. This game they were working. There was a long stint of where they were not working.
Run them only between the 20s, not in the red zone.
Yeah.
But I think that was kind of a testament to the Seahawks kind of selling out to stop Josh Jacobs a little bit. So it ended up opening up some of the outside runs.
That's fair.
Damn, I saw a stat earlier saying how this is the most that Josh Jacobs has ran between the tackles in his career, percentage wise.
I can see that. Jake, how did the Packers offense do on 3rd and 4th down?
Did pretty good. Could have been a little bit better in my opinion, but 5 for 12, not bad. 0 for 1 on 4th down. In terms of how they picked up some of those 3rd downs, they had a touchdown on a 3rd down on a 3rd and medium. They were 0 for 1 on 3rd and longs. They had 1 attempt at 3rd and long, and they needed 10 yards, and they got 9 yards to Watson. So they were at least competitive on that 3rd and long. 3rd and shorts, 3 for 7. Started 3 for 3 on 3rd and shorts, and then just started passing the ball a bunch. I wanted to look at the play calls that they were doing. They only ran the ball 3 times on 3rd downs. And having 7 attempts on 3rd and shorts, I don't like that percentage. I would like to run the ball a little bit more, especially with how Josh Jacobs looked to start this game. We did throw way too much on 3rd and shorts. We threw the ball 9 times on 3rd down, which I don't like. Again, we had 10 attempts at 3rd and 5 and shorter. You could still run the ball in those situations, in my opinion. The way the Packers can kind of mix things up, the way the jet sweep was working, the way Josh Jacobs was working, I even feel comfortable with Brooks back there and Emmanuel Wilson. So just in my opinion, could maybe clean a few things up on 3rd down, but I can't complain too much. I'm nitpicking at that point.
Yeah, the red zone, I kind of have a similar feeling. So you look at the red zone, you'd be like, oh my God, they only scored on 2 of their 5 red zone opportunities. But there's a lot of context, in my opinion, that needs to go into this. So the first trip to the red zone, it was Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, and they scored a touchdown. The second trip to the red zone, they had a play to Jaden Reed, and then Romeo Doubs refusing to go down and carrying a couple Pro Bowlers into the end zone. So they're 2 for 2. They started there. The third trip, Jordan Love and Romeo Doubs just not on the same page on that play, where if Love was expecting Doubs to turn in and Doubs was turning out, or if Love threw the ball in the inside and he should have thrown it to the outside. However it was that they weren't on the same page. Opportunity for another touchdown there. They still got a field goal. That play was a 3rd and 6 at the 20-yard line. That counts as a red zone trip.
Yeah, I know.
So it's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Their fourth trip to the red zone was first and goal at the 1 yard line or the 3 yard line, 4 yard line. First and goal inside the 5 with 4 seconds on the clock. They took the points. That counts as a red zone trip. And then the last one, they were at the 10 yard line. They had a 2nd and 5, but there was a false start. So that moved them back. They ended up with a 3rd and 10 at the 19-yard gain or a 19-yard line. And that's where Jake brought up the 9-yard pass they had to Christian Watson. And again, they took the points. So they were 2 for 5. They scored on all 5. But again, you look at some of the context of some of these things. And, one of them was right before the half. One of them was at the 20-yard line on 3rd down. So you'll hear whining that the offense was only 40% in the red zone. But there's more to it, in my opinion. So, Simon, how did you feel about Jordan Love?
Yeah, I honestly thought this was one of the better games of this season. And while we were talking about kind of praising Dobbs a little bit, that throw to Dobbs in the end zone was kind of gross too. That defender had no idea that ball was anywhere, and like Jordan Love threw it to like the perfect spot. It was an incredible catch, but I think the throw was pretty good too. I thought he did a good job of taking advantage. I would have liked to see maybe better throws on the 2 pass interference calls, but I can't complain about it when neither the receivers just straight up beat the defenders and they had their back turned. You can't be mad about something like that. So that's good on Love, recognizing the wins by his receivers. He made good decisions all game, in my opinion, and he ended up with 0 turnover worthy plays. And we love to see that. Yep. And Jordan Love, Toyota-thon. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm not alone, baby. Let's go.
Bryant, what did you think about Jordan Love?
Yeah, along with that throw to Dobbs, I thought the throw to Watson on the sidelines was disgusting too. I mean, he only put that where Watson had a chance to get it. There was another throw earlier in the game where he threw it low to Watson, and the announcers even talked about like, that's a good throw because he's putting it only where either Christian catches or no one gets to it. Like, so I just feel like he's, he's looked so much healthier the last few weeks. He's really moving around good. He's just patient in the pocket. It just looks different. There's a couple times he had rush right in his face, like the one where the throw to Tucker Kraft, he was about to get sacked and he got rid of the ball. I'm like, holy crap, dude. Also, the first play of the game, he takes an absolute push in the back or whatever. I think there was a flag on the play. It was totally unnecessary, so good on him to not let that affect him because that dude rocked him. I mean, that wasn't a flop like you see other quarterbacks doing. He got smoked. So overall, just the last 4 games, he's just played really well. And maybe there is something to this Toyota-thon thing, but we need to. Wisconsin needs to start running Toyota-thon from September to February.
I can't believe they haven't reached out to get him on a commercial yet.
Someone said, someone made a good point about that. They're like, as soon as Toyota gets involved, they're just going to make it corny. So it's better that they just take the free publicity.
That's fair. That's true.
Yeah.
So you brought up some of the throws that he had under pressure. First, the one that he threw to Tucker Kraft, that was kind of a jump ball, a 50-50 ball. He threw that because the Seahawks were offsides. So I don't want to hear that, he put a ball in harm's way. There was a penalty on the defense. So that ball gets thrown up. If it gets intercepted, it doesn't count anyways.
Yeah.
Yep, free play.
Yep. So you give Tucker Kraft an opportunity to go make a 50-50 catch because I'll take 20 yards over 5.
Yeah.
Also, you just get to say the Tucker Kraft mossed somebody, which is fun. So I did think while I was watching this game, I was feeling that it felt like it was Jordan Love's best game ever under pressure. And it was actually his nicest game under pressure. He was 9 for 13 for 69.2%. Definitely his nicest game under pressure, but it was actually his 3rd highest rating under pressure. 115.9 passer rating when under pressure. He had 118.8 versus the Bears and 117.8 versus the Cardinals. So it was his 3rd highest game under pressure. He had a couple misses to Dobbs. We talked about. He had a couple hits to Dobbs. But overall, he was 20 of 27 and was 17 for 18 at one point.
Wow, yeah.
And I just want to hammer on it again. Simon brought it up. I'm going to say it again. 0 turnover-worthy plays. So, Jake, what did you think of Jordan Love?
thought he was outstanding. This is the guy that deserved the payday that he got. A lot of people make a lot of comparisons from Jordan Love to Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, and rightfully so, right? We've been very blessed. I'll continue to say that. I really try to avoid these comparisons, but they're inevitable, right? And and I'm talking Jordan Love, he got some from Aaron Rodgers. He got a few things. Catching players off sides, Tyler mentioned it. Catching them with the 12 men on the field, making them take a timeout, and the quick decision making, being decisive with the football. That first drive, dude, when we took the ball and Jordan Love was just like, okay, we're going to hand it off to Josh Jacobs and get 7 yards. And then I'm going to drop back. I'm going to make it look like I'm going downfield. I'm going to throw it to Josh Jacobs about 4 times on this opening drive, and he is going to run it down your throat, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. So for him to be able to look safeties off, he looks big, he looks strong, he's making great throws on the sidelines. He's making touch passes now, which is something he struggles. I mean, the last 2 years in the first half of the season, he doesn't know what a touch pass is. I don't know what's going on with that. He doesn't like the warm weather or something. But later he gets into the season, he starts putting some touch on the ball, and I'm like, all right, that was a pretty nice throw, guy. But he's a really good quarterback. And if you were talking about best quarterbacks in the league this year at this moment, at this very second, you'd have to say Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and it'd be really hard-pressed to not put Jordan Love at that third spot right now. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Lamar Jackson is nice and all that. He puts up a lot of shiny stats. He doesn't win when it matters. He doesn't make a throw when it matters. Just going to leave that right there. He doesn't make a throw when it matters. I could trust Jordan Love to make a throw. Sorry.
Even still, I'd still put Lamar Jackson over him.
You could do that. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. It's obviously only one playoff run, but if you look at the throws when they matter, there was a pretty bad interception that Jordan Love threw against San Francisco. If we're being impartial.
He also made a really good throw to Bo Melton to take the lead, but it
sure
is
did.
what it is. I've never seen Lamar Jackson make that throw in the playoffs.
Darian said Jordan Love was channeling his inner Aaron Rodgers in that play to Tucker Kraft. Absolutely. Darian said he'd like to see Jordan Love run for yards when he has a chance more. Spoiler alert, we're going to have a conversation. So Monkey said it. The Saints are going down. We're going to start with the defensive side of the ball. Simon, what are you looking for from the Packers on defense against the Saints?
Just Alvin Kamara. I can't even sugarcoat how bad I think the Saints offense is. And I'm also speculating that they're probably going to start Spencer Rattler this week. That's my opinion.
Same thing.
That's fair. Assumption.
I don't think they named one yet, but Hayner looked really bad last week. And then I'm for it. So the only just Alvin Kamara, he hasn't been particularly great at rushing this year either. He's never been a volume rusher kind of guy where he's going to get you 120 plus yards or anything. He's averaging 4.2 yards per carry, which is not bad, but it's not really great either. But he's absolutely dangerous with the ball in his hand in open space. And I think the last time the Packers played the Saints, that's what kind of hurt him the most. So that's kind of it. MVS has had a couple long touchdowns and long catches this year. Their offensive line is pretty solid. They're fifth in the league with 28 sacks allowed, which is pretty good. But the pass rushers just need to put some pressure on Spencer Rattler in his first. This is his first season in the NFL.
Yeah. My thoughts are kind of similar, just more of the same from the defensive line specifically, to get all those pressures and sacks without having to blitz. Washington going into their game with New Orleans last week, they were averaging 2.5 sacks. They got 3. All of them came on Hayner. So I'm still leaning towards Spencer Rattler getting the start. Looking at Hayner and Rattler is definitely the more mobile of the two. So that could be a factor as well. So if we get into a situation where the Packers don't have a bunch of sacks, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, the pass rush disappeared again. I'm going to be thinking more similarly to how at the beginning of the season, we faced Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson, and it was for like more focused on contain than pure just running straight at the quarterback. Now, if they do make a weird decision and start Hainer instead, then I completely flip, and then it's like, let's go get him and put him on the ground. Thank you. Bryant, what are you looking for from the defense?
Yeah, so New Orleans is not a very good team right now. They're just not. They're really banged up. Spencer Rattler's a rookie who's going to be coming into a very ruckus environment on a Monday Night Football game. So for me, I want to see a lot of exotic. So New Orleans does have a good line. They've only get up 28 sacks on the season. So if we come into this game and only get 2 or 3 sacks or whatever, or we struggle in that realm, that's possible. But even if we're not getting home, what I want to see us do is bring some exotic blitzes and stuff and make his head get spinning and making quick decisions. Because I think if we make him make quick decisions, he's going to make mistakes. Because that's going to give us chances to jump some passes and stuff. He's got 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the year. He hasn't scrambled for like 9 times for like 30-something yard or 60 yards on the season. So the first 2 games he started, each game he ran like 4 or 5 times. Last couple times he's been in, he hasn't ran at all. He's actually kind of a smaller dude. He's only 6 foot. 6 foot, like a couple hundred pounds. So, he could get beat up. So maybe they don't want him running as much. I will say his completion percentage is low, 57.5%. So that's where if we can really kind of get him thinking, don't give him those easy underneath completions like we like to do a lot of times to some of these quarterbacks that aren't very good. I think you do play this game closer to the line of scrimmage and really make him make plays. Don't give him all the easy stuff. Don't let him get comfortable. So if we can get, bring some exotic blitzes, don't let him get comfortable. I think they're going to struggle to move the ball.
Yeah. Jake, what are you looking for on defense?
Yeah. So third downs. New Orleans on third down offense, they averaged 37.36% conversion rate. That's 18th in the NFL. Now, I also have to remind you guys that a lot of these stats are with Derek Carr, who's like an okay quarterback. If nothing else, he's a veteran and he's smart. Third down defense, Packers are 8th in the NFL, only allowing 35.6%. So they're doing good in that aspect. I expect a big win on third down on the defensive side of the ball for the Packers this week. In terms of red zone, Saints are scoring on this is touchdowns only. For context reasons, it's because of what Tyler mentioned before, where there's red zone attempts. Once you get into the 20, you can have one play at the 20. You don't get the third down. It counts as a red zone attempt. So I only go touchdowns only. They are at 60% touchdowns. That's 8th in the NFL, so they've actually been pretty good in the red zone. Last 3 weeks, they're at 50%. Not as good. Clearly, quarterback play matters. Packers are allowing 60% touchdown. That's 20th in the NFL, something they could definitely improve on. But, if you just only let them get in there once and then you stop them, that's a good way to help the percentage out. In terms of pass rush, they have 2 guys that, we do a lot of draft prep stuff. And we really looked at Fuanga and Trevor Penning a lot. Those are 2 guys that all of us, I feel like, collectively liked a lot. They've been pretty good. Penning's only given up 4 sacks this year. He gave up 1 last week. He's going to have 2 QB hits all year in 29 hurries. He's given up 10 in the last 5 games, so he's been okay. Been up and down, pretty consistent. Fuanga has not given up a sack since week 8.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, sorry. And in that span since week 8, he's only given up 2 QB hits and 4 hurries. So for a guy who's a rookie, he's really stepping up, and he looks like a really good pick for them. If I can give the Saints credit on one thing, at least they try to build a team the right way. They build from the trenches. I'm going to give them credit on that. So good on them. They have some good tackles, and I like their center as well. So their offensive line is actually pretty solid, as bad as their quarterback play is.
Yeah. Bryant, how are you looking at special teams?
Yeah, just it's not to jump ahead of Jake with his weather report, but it looks like there could be some weather in the forecast. So just make sure you're smart on how you lose to a team like this is dumb mistakes on like special teams, muffing punts or block hits or block punts or things like that are missing easy kicks. So I would say anything 45 and in, just make sure you're making those kicks and then be smart with, if you don't feel comfortable catching them, just let them bounce where they're going to bounce. It might put you in some bad field position, but hopefully that's not the case. But, we get to practice in it. So I'm sure they'll be practicing in that this week and just be prepared. And then on the flip side, you're playing a team that's coming from a dome that's not used to these elements, that's not used to catching balls that are, coming through the snow and everything else. And then you can see how Wheeling puts a weird spin on it. They're cold, they're more, slick. So maybe we make a play there. So just be, just do your job. Nothing, you don't need anything spectacular. Just don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, looking at the coaching aspect of the game, I want to see another 2-minute drive or a 2-minute drill like the Packers had against the Dolphins. I'm not saying that it needs to be 22 seconds and you go find a way to get a field goal out of it, but just the clock management on that specific game was fantastic. So I'd like to see something more like that than what we've seen over the last couple weeks. Other than that, Brian brought it up when he was talking about tackling before. I just want to give a bunch of credit to Jeff Hafley for the tackling over the last 4 or 5 weeks. They've had single-digit missed tackles for, I think, every game since the Bears game. It's been fantastic. So I just wanted to give Hafley some credit on that. So, Simon, what are you looking for from the Packers' offense against the Saints' defense?
Yeah, Carl Granderson's been pretty damn good. I think this is his best season of his career. He's has 55 total pressures and 8 sacks, kind of rushing off either side depending on where they need him. Demario Davis is a little longer in the tooth, but he's still a good vet on the inside backer spot. New Orleans is 27th in the league in rushing yards allowed and 30th in the league in yards per attempt. Rushing. So looking for Josh Jacobs to have a huge game. Lante Taylor has been targeted 92 times in coverage, which is the second most in the league. Allowed 60 receptions, which is the second most in the league, for 856 yards, which is the most in the league.
Yikes.
The Saints defense has allowed 6.3 yards after the catch per reception this season, which is the fourth most, and the most yards after the catch over expected, plus 451 in the NFL this season. Hold on, I'm not done. Packers pass catchers have recorded a league high 7.1 yards after the catch per reception, with Jaden Reed having 389 yak and Tucker Kraft having 383 yak. Reed is average of fourth most yards after the catch per reception among wide receivers, while Tucker Kraft leads all tight ends with 9.3 yards after the catch per reception.
Love that. Jake, what are you looking for from the Packers on offense?
So I only cover one subject, so I'm going to stick to that. I'm looking at third down offense. Third down offense, Packers are at 37.9%. They've been slowly creeping that number up all season long. I would still like to see it continue to climb as we get ready for the playoffs. We really are in playoff mode. And if you want to think that's not true, just listen to any Matt LaFleur press conference, dude. Seriously, that guy is laser focused. And you know his team is as well. So we're up to 15th in the NFL in third down percentage, third down defense. New Orleans is actually pretty good. They have a lot of, as you mentioned, Demario Davis. They have a lot of guys who are vets, but they're still pretty good. They're only allowing 37.2% completion conversion percentage. Sorry, word salad there. That's 13th in the NFL. So that's going to be a tougher battle than on the other end. I feel like the defense is going to dominate, and the Packers are going to have the ball with a lot of opportunities on offense.
Yeah, Bryant, what are you looking for from the offense?
Yeah, kind of like Simon alluded to, New Orleans has a decent pass rush. They have, Breesy, Granderson, and then Chase Young. So, 3 guys with 5.5 plus sacks. So they can definitely get after the quarterback. They also have pretty good pass defense, to be honest. Yeah, they do give up a lot of yards. But however, they've only given up 14 touchdowns while getting 13 interceptions. So they are a little harder to pass on, but they have allowed 4.9 yards per carry. So if Josh Jacobs can get going, I think that's going to open up the play action, and they're going to have a real hard time with our offense because they can't stop the run. So I expect Josh Jacobs probably to hopefully, have a big game again, and maybe we'll see, Emmanuel Wilson and get a little ball involved. So I look forward to watching this run game and seeing what it does to open up. I want to drive just like we opened this game with. I wanted to. This is why I didn't get to. I wasn't here last week when I got to talk about it, but I talked about it to Tyler. I was not happy about the fact that we didn't take the ball against Detroit first and punch them in the mouth because we had been doing it all the weeks prior to everyone else, and then we turned around and did it again to Seattle and punched them right in the mouth and set the tone for this game. So I could very much love to see another drive like that against New Orleans and going forward. Because news alert, most teams in the league are going to defer. So if the Green Bay Packers want the ball at pretty much every game to start, unless someone tries to throw them for a loop and to be like, nope, we're going to take the ball. Like I could see Detroit doing that if we played in the playoffs because they know we want the ball first. But for us, I was pretty upset because I felt like we bent to Detroit instead of trying to get them to bend to us. So we kind of, led into them where every other team we've been beating the hell out of them the first drive or at least attempting to. So
especially on the road.
Yeah, I want to take the ball against New Orleans first and run it right down their throat and do the same thing.
As far as their defensive line goes, they do still have Cam Jordan too, who is another veteran guy who's had success in the NFL. But for me, looking at the offense, it really comes down to Jordan Love not having to throw the ball much as far as passing game distribution is concerned. The offense is moving the ball so well that he hasn't thrown 30 passes since the first Detroit matchup. And in 3 of the last 5 games, he's thrown under 25 passes. So I know when we get to the season end stat projection reviews, I'm going to be way high on Jordan Love passing attempts just because I thought he was going to throw the ball more. And then obviously he had 2 games and a quarter where he was injured. But the offense is humming. We've had 4 straight games of 30 or more points, which is obviously great to see. Looking at the red zone, the Saints allow 51.2%, which is pretty good. That's tied for 8th in the NFL. As far as the Packers are concerned, I'd be happy with 3 out of 5. Anything over that is gravy, in my opinion. So, Bryant, what are the injury designations we should watch for Monday?
Yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on, see what's going on with Jair. If they think he needs another week, give him another week. At this point, I just care that he's healthy in the playoffs.
Yep.
It would be nice to have him against Minnesota at all, depending on if we have a chance to slide up to the 5th seed or not. Then we have Bullard. It sounded like what Matt LaFleur was saying today. He said, we got to see him on the practice field. So I'm thinking that means he hopefully practices this week. Quay, he said it's kind of a week-to-week thing. We'll see how quick he heals. I know, was it Quay earlier in the season he got hurt and we were like, oh, he's probably not going to play. And then all of a sudden he quick healed up and he played the next week. I think that was Quay that did that. And then Luke Musgrave started practicing last week, so we'll kind of keep an eye on that as well. And then for New Orleans, we got Derek Carr is out already. I know Kamara left the game, but I think he'll probably end up playing.
It's kind of up in the air from what I just read because Ryan texted me about Kamara, and that's why he was trying to give me Rico Dowdle. He has a groin injury, and it's kind of up in the air right now. Nothing concrete.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with it. If he doesn't play,
yeah.
Kenry Miller's not been that bad in limited play time though.
So
he's not.
But I've seen this.
No, he's definitely not.
No. So I've seen this happen with Kamara a lot though, where he's kind of have injuries or illnesses, and he just sits out practice and then he plays a lot. He does this a lot, to be honest. So I'd be pretty surprised. I'd be a little surprised if he doesn't play. But if you want to trust Ryan, he's trying to get a trade out of you too. So it's possible though. He might not play. New Orleans might be like, what do we have to gain by him playing? But I don't know how much tenure Kamara. I think he did sign an extension with them actually, but
he did.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe they might try to save him for next year. Yeah. But I imagine if I'm Kamara, he's probably wanting to play in this game because you don't get to go up to a winter game where it might be a snow globe type game in Lambeau too often. So he's a competitor. He's a tough dude. He's played through a lot of this stuff. So we'll see what happens with him.
So Jake, are we going to have a snow globe?
So Bryant, I know you've been hearing about the snow, but the snow's coming on Thursday. We don't play till Monday, buddy.
I checked the forecast for Green Bay today, and it said 50% chance of snow.
I checked
so
this. I checked it at 4:30 today, and it said no snow.
There's gonna be snow, Jake.
There's gonna be snow on Thursday, but thank you for being concerned for Tyler and I's safety as we drive to work on Thursday morning and on Friday. The weather up
during Monday's game now, and you can clip this, Tyler.
Okay, to be fair, I'm trying to project the weather a week away. So the weatherman who went to college and works for major news stations aren't even good at that themselves. Me, who checks on their stuff, is not going to be very good.
Just get a weather machine, bro.
Sources and cross-reference them, Jake.
I'm not saying who I go through, but I got a guy. His name might be Pete. Monday, December 23rd, I have cloudy, low 27, and winds at 5 to 10 miles an hour. That's all I got.
What's that say?
Do not mess with Pete. I'm going to tell you again. Got it? Don't mess with Pete. He doesn't miss.
Terrible cloudiness with some snow.
Okay,
Dude, he has an Army top secret weather machine over there. Don't.
Yeah.
Pete doesn't miss. Pete doesn't miss.
Does it control the weather or does it just forecast the weather?
No, it's the worst possible weather at the worst possible time.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Simon, what's your matchup to watch?
I have Edge Cooper versus if Kamara plays.
Who? You know what? I'm going to go because you almost stole my thunder when you said Edgerrin Cooper. I was like, there's no way that you're going to pick the matchup that I had because I thought I was very clever for saying Edgerrin Cooper versus Foster Moreau.
Ooh, good one.
So the last time the Packers played a team that has some downfield threat at wide receiver, the tight end, Jonnu Smith, feasted underneath. We didn't have Edgerrin Cooper that game. We do this week. So Edgerrin Cooper versus Foster Moreau is my matchup to watch. Bryant, what is your matchup to watch?
Yeah, mine is offensive line run blocking versus their defensive line run stuffing. So if Green Bay can get a push and run the ball for big chunks, I just don't think New Orleans has a chance to even upset us. If Josh Jacobs gets going in this game, it's over by halftime.
Yeah. Jake, what is your matchup to watch?
My matchup to watch is Tucker Kraft versus New Orleans linebackers Pete Werner and Demario Davis. Pete Werner has the 10th highest coverage grade in the NFL. Demario Davis, he's just a vet. He's very smart. He's seen everything. You're not going to trick this guy. Tucker Kraft gave his numbers before, averaging 9.3 yards after catch. He is first among all gaps, all tight ends. I was reading ahead. The gap between tight end 1 and tight end 2 in this category is the same as tight end 2 and tight end 26. He's good.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's wild. All right, Jake, just rip it again. Give me your X factor.
X factor. This one's going to be interesting for you guys. I have whose pass rush is going to stay hot. Packers coming off a 7-sack performance in Seattle. New Orleans had 8 sacks versus Washington last week. Saints have nothing to lose. They have very little to play for, so maybe they just say, hey, let's go play some ball and let's let it loose. Packers, again, getting into playoff mode. So whose pass rush is going to show up and stay hot?
I like it. For me, I have Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur cooking some running opportunities. So that was something that was brought up a little bit earlier. New Orleans held Brian Robinson in check. He had 21 carries for 65 yards. That's 3.1 yards per carry. Obviously, Josh Jacobs is much better than Brian Robinson, but looking at it, Jaden Daniels had 11 carries for 66 yards last week. So I'm not saying Jordan Love needs to have 11 carries, but if Josh Jacobs is running the ball down their throats, you could mix in a Jordan Love bootleg that I think has an opportunity to create just even 2 or 3 big plays throughout the game. Bryant, who is your X factor?
I chose Alvin Kamara for obvious reasons. Like I said, there's just no chance, in my opinion, if he does not play, that they can really do anything. And even with him playing, I think they're done. But, I mean, unless we really lay an egg.
Yeah. Simon, who is your X factor?
I have the second, third, fourth string pass rushers. Wow, what did I do? Okay, Van Ness, Cox, and Mosby.
I like it. All right. Simon, give me your score prediction from the head.
I rarely ever put up a score like this. From the head, I got 35-16.
All right.
Whoa.
From the head. I like that. All right, Brian, from the head.
Yeah, mine was my score prediction from the head was a little bit larger than normally. I put 2. I was still conservative. I put 28-13.
Mine's very close. I have 30-13. Keep the streak alive.
I have 34-13.
I like it. I'm excited to see where these heart predictions go now. Simon, give your score prediction from the heart.
Packers 42, Saints 13.
Nice. Bryant?
Mine wasn't quite as much. It was 34-10.
I have 38-10. I think Bryant and I are pretty similar this week.
Huh. Well, I gave more points. I still have them scoring 10, but I have 41-10.
Whew. I'd love to
We
drop
need a 40
bomb this
burger.
week.
It's time.
That would be.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's time for a 40
time.
burger.
All right. Well, Bryant, I'll let you go first. You can pick offense or defense. Let's do some Simon Says.
So for offense, kind of what me and Simon are alluding to a little bit is New Orleans can give up some pretty big pass plays. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They, only the 14 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. But my offensive one is that Christian Watson scores a touchdown of at least 55 yards.
Oh, yeah. Only because that kind of goes with mine. Christian Watson, 3 touchdowns.
Oh,
all right.
Well,
Let me just get in on this. We can just do this all together. I have Jordan Love 4 passing touchdowns, but Dobbs again.
Oh, I'd love that.
Because I nailed that one last week.
Yeah, you did.
okay. I have Jaden Reed has 2 touchdowns, 1 rush, and 1 receiving touchdown. He hasn't had a rush touchdown since week 1, so
Yeah.
it's time.
It's time.
All right. So how do we feel about all these touchdowns?
I mean, obviously, they're not all going to happen.
They're going to score.
What do you mean? We're not scoring 11 touchdowns this game?
And Green Bay wins 77-10.
Just get a Matt Flynn game going.
Malik
I mean, we
Willis
did
played
win
the entire
59
fourth
to 0
quarter and throws a
versus
touchdown to Dobbs and Watson. All right. Go to defense, Brian.
So Green Bay doesn't allow, Green Bay holds New Orleans to less than 250 yards and doesn't allow a touchdown.
Yep. Yeah, I could totally see that.
I also have no touchdowns. I had 9 points, no touchdowns.
I could see that.
You have one, Simon?
No, I just did. I only do usually 1.
Okay, so we were all saying stuff during this episode that's kind of going to tie into mine. And we're talking about bright lights. We're talking about team coming from the dome, coming to the cold. It's not going to snow. Go check the chat. The Packers are going to hold New Orleans to under 50 yards in the first half.
Okay, in the first half. Okay.
Only in the first half. We're going to come out and just smack them. In the second half, we'll loosen up a little bit. And
So
they'll-
instead of
Yeah,
second
no,
half,
a
go
lot
back
of-
to
lot of-
playing
yeah,
because we're winning
a little
35-3.
Soft. Yeah. Yeah, if we take the ball first, I could see it.
That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping
I like it. All righty. Well, we will be back next week, Friday. So next week is the week of Christmas, so we are not going to be here on Christmas Eve. We will be back next Friday, kind of giving a throwback to last season and the season before when we were doing Friday nights. So next week, Friday. Next week, Friday. Next week, Friday. Next week, Friday. I'll put a reminder out. I'll put out a scheduled programming for the Christmas week because the following Wednesday we're going to move to Thursday. So we will still be live tomorrow for the Bucks and the Badgers basketball teams, and then next week we're going to go to Thursday instead of Wednesday on Christmas Day. We're going to go to the 26th on Thursday. So we will see everybody tomorrow, and then we will see everybody next Thursday and Friday. So we will see you guys then, and obviously go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.
Also, go Bucks.
Are they up?